I, on behalf of Naga Scholars Association, take this wonderful opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to our book discussion on constructing the divine. Well, we would like to thank each and every one of you for coming and participating in NSA activities. This afternoon we are extremely privileged to have Dr. Ganado Chopi. He is the author of the book Constructing the Divine, and he did his PhD from University of Delhi, and right now he is a fellow at the New India Foundation based in Bangalore. And besides this book, he is also coming up with another book which will be titled Great Awakening, a memoir of the Naga Baptist.
Children of the Great Awakening.
Okay. Anyway, maybe he may be able to tell us better. Thank you very much, Dr. Ganado, for accepting our invitation to come and give your perspective on your book. And once again, we are also extremely privileged to have Professor Joy in our midst. She has been actively participating in NSA activities. This is not our first visit to NSA. We are very thankful to you for your cooperation and your contribution for NSA's in all NSA's activities. Well, a brief introduction about Professor Joy. Well, Professor Joy Bachol is a professor in Center for Historical Studies, JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and her research interest includes social history of Northeast India, especially that of Mizoram, and history of Christianity in India. And she is also the award winner of the most prestigious Mizo Award for 2017, right? And she was also the author of the book Being Mizo, Identity and Belonging of the Northeast India. Please excuse me, I didn't bring my specs, so I'm having a little problem reading. And also the author of The Camera as Witness, a social history of Mizoram. And she was also the honorary research fellow at University of Liverpool in 2015, Charles Wallace Visiting Fellow Center, South Asia University, University of Cambridge, UGC Major project. She has taken up a UGC Major project, and also she was also an exchange scholar with ICSSR. This is just a brief introduction about her. Thank you very much, Professor Joy, for accepting our invitation to come and chair today's session. And we have Seng Mai as discussant for today's discussion. She is faculty in Miranda House teaching English literature. Thank you very much to all of you for participating in NSA activities. As a token of our love and appreciation, we have a small gift to our resource person. We would like to request our executive members to kindly come forward and hand over to Professor Joy. And Dr. Ganado. Thank you very much. We are also very fortunate to have Dr. Susmita Dasgupta in our midst. She doesn't need any introduction because she has been actively participating in NSA activities. And so I don't think she needs an introduction. Also, we are also privileged to have Madhusri, Dr. Madhusri. She has been also taking part in NSA activities. We are also very privileged to have Dr. Abidoli. He is a faculty in the University of Delhi, Department of Anthropology. And besides that, we have one of our active members, Dr. Apam. So thanks to all of you for coming and participating in NSA activities. Well, I think I see so many new faces today. So I think it will be nice to give a brief introduction about NSA. Well, Naga Scholar Association was registered in 2010, and since then we have been actively taking up, like many academic activities, organizing seminar, conferences, and talks, workshops as well. And well, the Naga Scholar Association has been very active. At least once in a month we organize academic activities, and we request all of you to kindly come and participate. And the objective of NSA is to provide platform for scholars to interact and promote academic excellence, to promote academic intellectual activities such as seminar, workshops, conferences, and publications as well, and to promote educational advancement of the society, to promote socio-economic, cultural, political, historical, and ecological awareness, and to interact and network with other academics, intellectuals, forums, and institutions. So these are the objectives of NSA, what NSA stands for. And today we are very happy, because it's a happy day for us. One of our scholars, Naga scholar, has come up with a book, which is an international publication. It has also come up with Indian publication as well by Manohar publication, right? And the book is available. You can, purchase through online. So many of you are asking about a book. Unfortunately, we didn't have any extra copy with us for today. So you can, you can visit the website and you can book the book. So the upcoming NSA activities. Hopefully, end of this month, we will be engaging Professor Mahesh Ragarajan, who is director of Nehru Memorial and Museum, right? So, well, I would like to request all of you to, keep, how do we'll be updating either on Facebook and WhatsApp. So please come and participate. Don't miss the opportunity of interacting with such a well-known personality like Professor Mahesh. And next month, that is on 13th of April, we have another book discussion by Dr. Tei. She is teaching in Nagaland University, and we'll be updating more about her book. So I also would like to invite all of you to come. And hopefully in the month of May, we will be having Professor Valeran Rodriguez. It is a well-known personality in the country. So that is for the month of May. And NSA is also planning to organize an international conference sometime this year. We have not fixed the date. So we really need encouragement from all of you, to make NSA, a successful, association. And for those of you who would like to be a part of NSA, NSA of course is for the Naga scholars. You are requested to take a membership. We have a membership form with us. It is 300 rupees for PhD and MPhil scholars, and 500 rupees for working, professionals. So please keep that in mind. So with this, I would like to once again welcome all of you for joining us. And once again, I would like to thank all the resource person for accepting our invitation to be a part of NSA activities. And now I give the rest of the time to our chairperson, Professor Joy. Thank you.
Right, good afternoon to all of you, and I want to thank Dr. Suchamu and the NSA for inviting me. Like he said, I think a few years ago I was also given the opportunity to discuss my book, and I think I had a very good time of interaction and learning from all of you during the discussion. I also was just telling Dr. Zuchamo before we started that I wish the Mizos were as active because we don't have the student body or the academics, students who are pursuing higher studies. We don't have such a forum here in Delhi, and I envy you all because I think this is a very good way to learn many things, to learn about what each one is doing, but also to interact with one another and to hone our skills and also to understand the new intellectual and academic developments that are happening in different parts. And also, I also appreciate the fact that it is extremely interdisciplinary, and also judging from the kind of speakers that you're getting, it's also not just Naga focused as well. So you're getting people from different backgrounds as well. So I think I really appreciate that, and I also want to begin by wishing you the very best in the days to come as well. So I'm also very happy to be chairing this session. I've heard a lot about Kanato and his work, but I've not really read his book or his earlier works as well, but I've heard a lot about him. So it gives me great pleasure to be chairing this because I'd really like to know more about the book, as I think all of us are, and also Sengmei for being the discussant as well. I've heard Sengmei speak in on other occasions, and so I look forward to, and she's a very informed scholar, so I look forward to hearing what she has to say as well with regard to the book. So over to Dr. Kanato Chopi, and make the organizers tell me that you can speak for half an hour, and then make after that Sengmei will talk about. Thank you.
Anyway, good afternoon once again. Thank you so much for coming to listen to a small town boy, from a small town back home. But I'm very glad to be here in the midst of scholars and respected personalities, non-personalities in different fields. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so I don't think I'll be talking much about giving a lecture or something like that. But I think Sister, I call her mother also. She's like a mother figure to me. Soon to be Dr. Sengmei. Yeah. So we have a format of how we want to discuss the book, because like there are so many things, it will become hodgepodge, and maybe we will actually miss what the core argument of the book is. So we have prepared. We talked a few times before coming. She went through the book, and we have been in touch with each other. So maybe Sister Sengmei can just raise some intelligent questions, making me look intelligent, and try to answer whatever you want to give. I think if that should be okay if we do that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations, Dr. Hoffman, for the book. And actually, the reason why he said what he said just now is because while he was writing the book, we talked a lot, and when it was at the verge of being published, I asked him a lot of questions, and I still ask him a lot of questions. So that way he gives very fruitful, very meaningful answers to all my questions. So it would be more like revisiting our questions and he giving the answer all over again, because I think those answers are very important as regard to the research area as well as the book per se. So first of all, one question that I always ask, because I'm from literature, I'm teaching English literature, and I'm not very well read. So a lot of times, few things are in terms of the contemporary Naga scholarship. There is this dominance of ethno-nationalism, the scholarship on ethno-nationalism. So a lot of times we could see that this dominance has in somewhat marginalized very potential area of studies, such as, let's say, education or economy, or for that matter even art and aesthetics, and also literature, art, music, all are seen through the lens of ethnic nationalism. So in that context, the work that we see constructing the divine is in some way, it's a book on tribal religion, and it belongs to, in some way, in that context, supposed marginalized category of area of study. So I was asking him, are you not interested in ethno-nationalism like the rest of us, or a lot of us, which is very important, as particularly at this point in history. But at the same time, are you not interested, or okay, let's not talk about interest, but what drove him to write such a book, which is perhaps not well discussed or not delved into in terms of Naga religion per se. So he might be able to enlighten us regarding why he chose this topic.
You want me to?
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, you've gone through the book, and what I have done is that I'm also a Naga scholar, and I'm part and parcel of this social reality which we have to grapple every day. But I think something of the years that I've learned is that I think Naga society, is not monolithic. Rather, we have different aspects of knowledge which are being rather overshadowed by, because of this particular scholarship on ethnic nationalism. In fact, my second book is all about ethnic nationalism. Forgive me for my sin, but for this particular book, I thought let me just move a little away from ethno-nationalism and talk about tribal religion per se. One thing is that something that and this is quite fascinating, I have to grind against the IIT professors. So, in fact, one IIT professor, I was giving a talk on the book, and then I went on to say explain something about the book. It was in a conference in Guwahati, and then after my presentation was over, he just asked me one question: why haven't you included the political aspect? And that was quite a surprise for me, because the whole idea of discussion that I was doing, and which I have mentioned in my book, is about these two very interesting social, rather religious movements about Naga society. So the first thing, what I was talking about is evangelicalism, because this is how I think as Nagas we understand how even the conversion process, or rather how the religious process has affected our society. So the first thing that we understand, and something that I mentioned in my book, is about evangelicalism. So this is the motif which American Baptists came to us, talking about saving the soul, or eternal damnation, and this and that. So we basically understand this kind of Christian mission, about the process of Christianity in terms of evangelicalism. The second thing that I talked about, and I was even telling the professor, is that I talked something about Pentecostalism, and that is the second phase. So it's more like a paradigm shift, So unlike people who attribute Baptist faith to be very monolithic, and they say that, oh, you people are Baptist, so you're all underground, So this kind of misconception exists. But I think Baptist faith is very diverse. So the second phase that we see, even in my community, even in Dr. Zuchamo's community, is that we have another phase, a rather very interesting religious movement, global movement happening. And we call this as Pentecostalism. So Pentecostalism basically begins after the after the independence, and the whole idea is to connect our religion, because we were not isolated. Whether it was with the American missionaries, or even with the coming of the charismatic faith, I think our faith was in a way connected with the wider global movements. Just for instance, Professor Joyce, people are responsible actually for bringing charismatic movement, and then there's still today Dr. Zuchamo's people are fighting because of her, not because of you, but because of the missiles, because you see this very vibrant charismatic movement which began in Mizoram, and this kind of influence even the Lotas and even the Sema. So we have this kind of connection that we see. So like I said, I think in the scholarship over the years, I mean, no disrespect, I hugely respect what other scholars are doing, but the whole idea was to maybe distance our religion a little bit from political identity and self-determination. Thank you.
Okay, coming to that, like I was saying, for me, what I find fascinating in this book, the first thing that stands out, because I'm from literature, was the stories. The stories that you kind of thread together, all these moments that you're talking about, historical as well as theological shift, what you call paradigm shift and everything. But what I see in your book is the idea, the concept of past, present, and future, all in a seamless narrative in the storytelling, in the act of storytelling. And when I say storytelling, it's that myth, the folklore, the legends, and all of that. So how do you? That is what I find very fascinating. And I think if you tell me, it sounds like the first. The first 2 points that you have made in what you just said, it seems like it is a Christian book. It's about coming of Christianity, yes it is, but then what I find as, when I read, what stands out to me was, or the crux or the uniqueness of this book is that the stories that you weave together to bring all these moments in one single thread, you know. So can you kind of maybe speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically I'm trained in ethnography, and then I think a lot has to do with how we are trained, or under whom we train. So basically I was trained under a professor who emphasized a lot on this tradition called interpretation. So this is one of the reasons that I picked up this, the idea of storytelling. Also one thing is that, you know, speaking also as an insider, as a person belonging to this particular community, is that over the years, down the years, I think understanding tribal religion has been more in terms of this Western conceptual category. I mean, which in fact in itself is useful. Like, so we have this animism and animatism and totemism and so on and so forth. But just one example. Any owls here? Any owl Naga? I'm sure you have owl Naga, right? So see, yeah. So I'm sure they are. You know, like. What other writers they do is they label our religion as animism. But in fact, if you go to this particular clan called Ozukun, among the owls, you know, they have this very strong tradition of totemism. You know, having association with particular birds, or even for that matter, I don't know if we have any Cham Naga here. So this some very strong evidence of even totemism. And if you come among the Semas, we also have this other evidence of what different Western scholars are talking about. So we cannot just pigeonhole Naga religion. So I thought, why not let me just let me come up with a new conceptual category to understand my people, my community. And then something that I discovered is that stories play a very, very important role, because as a Sumi Naga, or even for that matter for Nagas, we locate our existence in the past, present, and future. So much so that our political consciousness is defined by stories, by the stories we narrate, or even for that matter our identity. You know, my people say that we came from there and there, or that, and we say that Angamis and the Chekesangs and the Sema Nagas, Sumi Nagas are brothers. And then how do we say that it's because of stories? Also, we kind of locate our lives not in compartmental, like not in terms of just the present, but I think what Nagas, as a community we do is we try to live our lives according to the past stories, according to our present existence, and also what I call as future suppositions. What is going to happen in the future? So that is how we locate our life. So maybe I thought it would be interesting to see our religion more in terms of storytelling, because they play a very important role.
This is the question that, because you keep taking I'm insider,
yeah,
I'm Sunni, your position yourself as the insider. So is there any room for you to problematize your Sunniness, or you being called, you are an anthropologist, so you are somebody who has written some article I've read on auto-ethnography. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of doing my people, I am the insider. Yeah. So how do you see any possible room to problematize your own position as an insider? Are you completely saying that you know everything about it? To put it simply, yeah, you may.
Yeah, so I think you are raising this question of insider versus outsider. I've mentioned at length in my methodology section, I think, which you'll be able to understand better when you read it. one thing is that I think Afo, Dr. Avitoli knows about how this whole tradition of autoethnography is gaining pace in Delhi University, so much so that among what we call as indigenous scholars, this question of being an insider, I think this raises a big problem, because this village boy actually had a disastrous interview in JNU, and then this a professor very dear to mine was going through my thesis, and she said that, Kanato, I can see your Baptist identity in your thesis, That's what she told me. She said that she can see my Baptist identity being reflected in my thesis. That's what she said. So yes, definitely there are questions, or rather debates about insider versus outsider. But the thing that the position that I adopted, in particular in this book, is that by being an insider, that doesn't mean that I have the front row seat of understanding social reality. Absolutely not. I think being an insider actually, and this is something I think many indigenous scholars also misunderstand, and we tend to kind of dismiss, people who do, outsiders who do very good work on our communities, is that I think as insiders, it is just a vantage point. It is a particular vantage point of seeing a social reality. I don't know, guys, if you're getting me. Maybe I'm talking more in terms of anthropology, but like I said, an insider is basically a vantage point of understanding social reality. So being an insider definitely has its own advantages and disadvantages. And basically in my book, I have talked about how the notion of empathy, or question of language and understanding certain things, we as an insider is able to grasp better because of our upbringing in that particular society and particular cultural context. Also, the disadvantages, yes, the disadvantages is that I did, my supervisor is still, he's a Malinowski type, huh? So he says, don't come back if you don't spend 1 year in the field. Anyway, something that I discovered when I was there for quite some time is that I think as insiders we also tend to neglect certain important social processes, because it's so used to us, we are so used to those social processes, we tend to kind of neglect or dismiss those as unimportant. While an outsider, will be able to see maybe small things which we think as irrelevant, they might be able to pick that out and come up with better theorization, better conceptual capabilities. So I think these are so many things. So please buy my book, huh? Yeah. You can buy and read it yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that brings to my own research area. I'm an insider, as I'm working on Roma oral tradition. So when the kind of work that I do is what a lot of people do. I'm not saying that, this is something that new, it's nothing new. What I do is I archive, I go to the field work, I record stories, songs, proverbs, I talk to the elders at length and all of that. So what I have seen perhaps is my kind of empirical work, purely empirical work. We are doing a lot of things. But what I see in your book is you have theorized it. So that is something that is perhaps very promising in terms of our the new phase that we are walking into. We are not just going to be collectors. We refuse to be not refuse. It's not a political statement, but it is a time for us to become theorists ourselves. Why do we leave all this empirical work that we have done and remain as a native informant all the time, and leave for the Westerners, for example, to theorize all this work that we have done, the primary work that we have done. What I find fascinating and also very scholarly solid in this book is he theorizing it, and very, very soundly. I have learned so much from him in terms of, because I'm also very interested in tribal religion, and I'm always talking about it, though I'm doing PhD in something else. So I think you can talk about how, this kind of work, we theorizing ourselves, the data, the collection that we have made, the empirical work that we have made, how important, how significant it is for us at this point in time to deepen, promisingly deepen and as well as open up in terms of the in different scopes of research area, especially here, all of about it. I mean, you can give maybe kind of enlighten the audience a bit about what are the theories that you are looking. What is your theory? What is that you are? What is the new thing that you are contributing to this area of study?
Yeah, so I think thank you for asking that intelligent question. Yeah, so she talked about theorization. See, I'm reminded of I belong to Delhi University, so we are like we do very much efficient anthropology. So there is this this very interesting anthropologist by the name Edmund Leach. He said that the problem with our scholarship, with anthropologists, is that we just collect data, and he said that it's like butterfly collection, because we don't actually put those data, empirical data or fieldwork data, try to see them through certain conceptual models. And so yeah, of course, that is something I mentioned in my book also. But like I said, basically I'm an ethnographer. I'm trained in ethnography like for years, and I'm still trying to be an ethnographer. So this also has a lot to do, not only with social anthropologists, but even with sociologists, because sociology also give a lot of importance, at least in this sociology, on fieldwork tradition. So as far as fieldwork tradition or ethnography is concerned, we have two very important, like indispensable aspects. One is what we call as the description. We describe communities, we describe events, we describe about certain social processes. The other thing is what we call as theoretical vision. So something, someone trained in Indian university that I realized is that I think over the years, I think as Indian scholars or Naga scholars, whoever we are doing exceptionally well on descriptive part. But when it comes to the theoretical vision, which Adam Cooper, Adam Cooper said that ethnography is two parts. One is description, and the other is the theoretical vision. So as far as Indian scholars are concerned, me included, I think we lack so much in conceptualizing our data, or of course building relevant theories out of that. So yes, so this is just a beginning. One thing also is that maybe if my teachers didn't push me, this would have been lying rotten in Delhi University. So I want to encourage scholars here also. Why should your thesis lie rotten somewhere in the library? I think maybe we can use our data, and then be able to come up with certain theories. So yes, very quickly. There are different, different. You're there. So anyway, different theories that I've used. I've borrowed a lot from Durkheimian, Emil Durkheim. Also, a lot on what I call this particular theory called social constructionism. But one, in trying to understand our context, I've tried to come up with certain, indigenous, if you allow me, indigenous concepts of trying to understand the religious processes. For instance, if you allow me, we all talk about magic and sorcery, but we just take what Malinowski said about three different aspects of magic and religion. But something that I discovered in my community is that magic is far more complex. So I've introduced certain categories like different types of magic. One is what I call as a precautionary, right? Precautionary magic. Something you perform magic before anything that happens. The other thing, what I call, is the therapeutic magic. So therapeutic in the sense of you perform magic. Lots of there's a huge data on how we do magic. Often is that therapeutic magic in the sense of we perform certain magic when there is bad events or disease and other things. Also, there's another magic type of magic that I've identified is what I call as system of divination. So these are things that I've been able to come up in trying to analyze it. You want me to say more? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's another. Please buy my book. I'm passing my book. This this other theory that I've used is called divinity superimposition. So I think there I have come very heavily against Durkheim concept of sacred and profane. I said that actually sacred and profane does not capture the immensity of tribal religion. I said, I'm breaking so much up. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so these are some theories that I have.
Yeah, sorcery is one, and another thing that we talk a lot. So another area of interest for Kanato is that he also wants to be a graphic novelist, and yeah, he's working on comic books, and he is trying to give a graphic detailing and imagination of the sorcery in his graphic novels, and it's on power. When we talk about superpower and being cool, being nerdy, he's one of them. He's the quintessential nerd. So he's working on that. But my question, perhaps the last question, if the chair allows me. So this is your thesis, right? This is part of your thesis, and you have really worked on your thesis. My question is, have you moved on? Have you moved on from, because you started working 2 years ago, and then it was finished 2 years ago, it came in the book form only now, and but you're also working on a very rigorous work called The Children of the Great Awakening, and this one is the memoir on Naga Baptist, and he's also thinking of working on another book called The Baptist Corridor. So it's looking at the landscape, the whole history of Baptist mission works, not only located only in Northeast India, within the Indian political map, but also entire Southeast Asia, Burma, and the rest of it. So it's not just Naga, it's not supposed to be, but it's a huge project, and it was of course part of a book project funded by the New India Foundation. And what is interesting about that book is that perhaps that's going to be a magnum opus. I hope not, because you can write multiple. Yeah. So, but can you kind of talk about this, the children of who are these? It's like midnight children. What is it? They were talking about the legacy of the Great Awakening that happened in America. So maybe the audience might want to know more about that.
Yeah, thank you.
First
So
question.
yes. 2 years, so it was very difficult, But yeah, I said I think I don't think I can say I completely moved on, because this is a part of the larger, because we are overwhelmingly Baptist, even my tribe is. So yeah, just coming to this idea of Naga Baptist, Children of the Great Awakening, is that I think most of you know, but if you see the percentage of Baptists around the world, I think Texas has 55%. You can just check on Google. Texas has 55% Baptists. So they're like huge. People think that they are the largest. Mississippi, another state, has I think 50%. But when we actually, India is such a fascinating place. It's a remarkable country. A small state, far-flung state somewhere in Northeast India has about 80 to 85% Baptist. So I think that makes Nagaland, my state, home state, the largest Baptist state in the world. So this is one issue that I'm talking about, and in this book that I'm writing, if you allow me, I'm dealing a lot on personal narratives, because whatever we find is the writings we see from the Baptist Missionary Magazine, other sources, but there are lots of stories, unrecorded stories, and that's why being a field worker, go and record those memories or record those stories about it. Tell something about, write a book in form of memoir. And just coming back to what you said about Baptist Corridor, is that this is one concept I'm developing. So I don't know whether the international academic community accept my model that I'm developing. But just for information, if you see, since you talk about moving beyond, my tribe and Nagas, is that even I think even Professor Bachon does a lot of work in this area, even among the Mizos. She has written an excellent book about the Mizos also. But something that I found is that between India and Burma, we have 1,643 kilometers. That is the boundary we share. So on Burma, this side, I keep frequently going to Burma, maybe trying to find a wife there. Huh? So yes, So I spend most of my time, so I lost being Polish in the city. So yeah, so anyway, we have this very interesting state called Kachin state, and we have Sagan, that is where my uncle, NSMK people are hiding. We have, below that, we have Chin state, Chin state. So, and on this side we have Arunachal, and then Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. So if you see this strip of mountainous land, I mean there are so many ethnic communities, I mean like languages, like the amount of languages we have is like so diverse. But they all share one thing in common. Most of them were influenced by the American Baptist faith, or rather Baptist faith of American persuasion, And lots of things happen, like even ethno-nationalism is a huge problem. Even on the other side, this area is also like very prone to arms trafficking, and then like these are opium zones. So like lots of misconception also exists, because people also think that once we become Baptist, we take out guns. Absolutely not. Something that I'm discovering in this area is that, interestingly, whether it's Nagas or Kachins or even Chins, what we call this, people think is that whenever, of course, they embrace the American Baptist faith, but interestingly, they have been able to mold, or they have been able to, kind of develop that Baptist faith according to their own cultural beliefs and practices. So please, I'm saying I'm a Baptist, of course, but I'm not saying this just to make something feel good about the Baptist. But when people tend to associate armed struggle and then this ethno-nationalism with the Baptist faith, I think that's a very, very myopic way of seeing things. And I think me as an indigenous scholar, I challenge you also to challenge these certain notions, which, if you allow me, which the so-called the RSS and the VG, because I'm also grappling with them. I travel a lot to Arunachal Pradesh in this place, because they tend to associate our Baptist faith with armed struggle in this. No. If you talk to Isaac, Isaac Chishian, I mean, I'm bragging, I knew so many of his children, we grew up together. Is that something, I know them personally, so they have been able to kind of make use the American Baptist faith to suit their own purposes, So, I mean, the kind of Baptist faith you find in this Indo-Burma border is very diverse, depending on ethnicity. So let me, I think I'm talking too much.
No, you should
I think it's okay.
Just last one, because you are trained as an ethnographer, and you have your PhD on in anthropology, but you're slowly moving towards history, right? So the change in discipline, that the fluidity when it comes, when you go further and higher and deeper. So how do you find that shift from your training to what you're doing? It's a shift for a layperson, it's a shift in discipline. So maybe that is the last one.
Yes. So talking about my shift towards
history.
Yes. I think one thing in anthropology is that we emphasize so much on field work that we fail to. In sociology, we fail to take into consideration the archives and the letters and different secondary sources. So we also say that anthropology is a poor man's history. So that's something that I'm trying to do is like there are so many even secondary sources which is existing with people. So maybe I feel like it would be very interesting to actually see into this and then come up with making use of my training in social anthropology, the ethnography, the narratives, or the genre of writing that I learned in ethnography, to come up with some kind of historical arguments. So that's what I'm trying to do. So thank you for the question.
Thank you.
I wasn't quite sure how the discussion was to take place. I'm glad that you took over, and I haven't read the book, so it's just based on your discussions, I thought maybe I should ask a few questions as well, since I'm very curious about it now, even more curious about it now, and then maybe we'll ask people from the floor to ask a few questions as well. Is that okay with you? Yeah.
You can pay me, huh?
No payment. So I just wanted to know. Just based on the title of the book and the way you've divided your chapters and things like that, you talk about constructing, the idea of constructing the divine. So I was just curious to know how that divine is constructed in your work and how you elaborate on that idea. And also when you say constructing the divine, it's clearly a construction that goes from a pre-Christian to a Christian, right? So, so the idea of a divine is constant, but there is a pre-Christian and then there is a Christian construction, and who knows, a post-Christian construction as well in the future, who knows. So, so in a certain sense, of course, time is taken into consideration when you're looking into that. So I just wanted to know how that construction evolves, what are the changes that occurs in that construction, and those changes, would you sort of look at it in the point of view of a displacement? Would you think of it in terms of syncretism? And or would you think of it in terms of the usual word of a conversion? What is the word that you would use for that in the construction of the divine? And secondly, you know, in the work that I've done on Mizoram also, one of the things that I argue in the book is the manner in which this changing notions of the divine has its impact on the way identity of a people is formulated, right? So I was just curious to know also about how these changing notions of the divine has its impact on the way identity is constructed among the Sunni Nagas. So I think I'll open with those two questions, and then maybe if others have anything in mind, then can ask those questions. I'm sure some of you have already read the work as well, so yeah, from there.
Yeah, so yeah, I think I have even given evidence from because basically the book moves from transition from indigenous religion to Christianity. So even in indigenous religion, I have talked a lot about how people construct or how people construct the social world, the idea about divine. But yeah, the argument, maximum of my argument actually is from Christianity. We didn't understood this whole idea within emergence of new discourse. I mentioned that in my new discourse are emerging because of how people are constructing this idea of God. Because if you come to the Naga context, we don't have any issue of the historical argument of Jesus. Everybody thinks that Jesus is 100% man, 100% God, or we don't have this problem of Gnostic Gospels versus canonical Gospels, which is grappling the West. But rather, I think interestingly, what I'm seeing and what I call it constructing the divine is that in our context, we see new idea of divine being constructed. For instance, today, those days, the division was between those who drink and don't drink. Drinkers and teetotalers, non-teetotalers. That's how we used to divide. Also, to some extent, after the independence, we also have this concept of the churched and the unchurched. Those who go to church, those who don't go to church. Within. But interestingly, today, what we see is that it's more about who is empowered and who is not empowered. So that means like those who are and this, the whole idea of Pentecostalism comes into play. This idea of the anointment of the Holy Spirit. So what people they do is like they have, and I'm specifically mentioning in my book how this idea of Holy Spirit is becoming very contentious, because it is based on this idea of Holy Spirit. People see that who is more spiritual or who is more empowered. That I have more spiritual gifts, you don't have more spiritual gifts. So this kind of idea of how this, basically the idea is that divine, the notion of divine is not constant. It changes all the time. And then with that I've given an example of how these people are making use of, yes.
Just to push that point forward, I mean, what you're mentioning are practices. It's not an understanding of the divine. I don't know how you sort of bring the two ideas together, because what you're talking about is the difference in the ideas of the practice of Christianity, right? Which is different from a difference in the understanding of the divine. So I don't know how you there's sort of two different categories that I know in sociology categories are very important, and the mixing of categories are so what do you do, how do you get,
so I don't know whether I'll be able to persuasively argue that I'm talking about divine, notion of Holy Spirit. I'll just give an example. Holy Spirit, divine, but like there are different groups, they construct the notion of Holy Spirit differently. Say, Papu is here. She says, so she's from the very big, they call themselves as Baptist Revival because they have a very different notion of understanding Holy Spirit. Or while I'm Baptist conservative, so we have a different notion of understanding this idea of Holy Spirit. So these are how I feel that at the end of the day, I think it's how even polemics, denominational polemics or sectarian differences exist because of how people understand or how they construct this notion of divine. I don't know that I'm able to.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we can have more to do.
Yeah,
Thank you for
sure.
that question.
Yeah. Okay.